Mic check, mic check, 1 2 1 2, mic check 1 2 1 2, mic check 1 2 1 2.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? 1 2 2 2 1 1.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's a Taste to Consider podcast, the podcast of many tastes. I'm your host, Derek Silver, and we back for another episode. Yes, indeed. Another week is ending. Another week is about to begin. A Taste to Consider podcast. Yes, indeed. A Taste to Consider podcast. We are back for a special episode. But before we begin, you know I got to start off with a song. Yes, A Taste to Consider podcast. Taste to Consider podcast. Yes, indeed. We are back for another episode, a special episode. Yes. Another week has ended. Another week is about to begin. A Taste to Consider podcast. Man, I gotta say, I woke up this morning and I got a pleasant surprise. With an alert on my phone saying my last episode, Crossed the Line, on YouTube was removed. That episode was removed, but I'm going to get into that in a second. Right now, I have a special guest, Kimberly Whitmon. How you feeling?
I feel amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
That's
I
what's
can't
up.
wait to get into it.
Tell them about yourself.
So like Derek said, my name is Kimberly Whitmon, and first of all, I am a spiritual being having a human experience, but I work as I do IT by day. And by night, I am an alignment coach. So I work with women, specifically busy moms who are, working to build a life that they are happy with, that they feel fulfilled, and most importantly, that they are aligned with that vision that they have for their lives. So, yeah, essentially, I'm a life coach. That's what I do.
That's what's up.
And I'm also a mental health advocate as well. So that is a huge part of my life. And it'll always be a huge part of my life. And I'm always here for all things mental health.
Okay, so explain to everybody what an alignment coach is.
So an alignment coach, it's interesting how I came to that. It took some time to figure out how to define it, and I didn't
Right.
really want to get caught up in labels and all of that. But I wanted to really articulate what I was trying to facilitate with these women. So me and a couple of my girlfriends, we really brainstormed this.
Okay.
And we came up with alignment because in conversation, that word came up a lot. And in my own personal life, I feel like that's what I did in order to get to where I am right now. I had to get in alignment with what I saw my life to be in
Right.
order to get there. And what better name, I guess, to put on what I'm doing than an alignment coach.
Right. Yeah, I felt like that was a good spin on it because just being on social media all the time and stuff like that, you hear a lot of people that's in the spiritual community talk about that word alignment. And it's very important. I don't think a lot of people really understand what alignment means. So what does it mean to you?
So alignment to me means that essentially you are behaving in such a way that you get the life that you feel like you deserve, right? So your life can only be as great as the standards that you have for yourself. And alignment is actually taking the micro actions every day in order to see that life come to fruition for you. So alignment is definitely becoming the type of person who deserves the life that you want to live.
Right. So give me an example of what you said, a micro.
A micro action.
Yeah, give me an example of a micro action.
Let me give you an example of a micro action. And I'm in the midst of coaching, so I got a
Okay.
lot of examples
Okay.
actually of micro actions because my clients are doing outstanding. So a micro action would be something like making a to-do list.
Right. Hmm.
That's a simple thing that you can do that can keep you on task, and it can build your confidence because when you're seeing yourself completing things, that makes you want to complete more.
Right.
And the ultimate way to alignment is to our human nature is to want to behave in such a way that aligns with how we see ourselves, right?
True.
And so if we are going through and making our to-do list and seeing ourselves accomplishing things, that lends to our self-confidence, and self-confidence lends to your self-concept, and your self-concept is essentially how you see yourself, and you need to live up to how you see yourself in order to see that in real life.
Yeah, I'm sitting here smiling because as I'm listening to you talk and the things that you're saying, I'm um just sitting here thinking about, like uh I really didn't have the type of parents that, you know, uplifted me and told me, they're proud of me and stuff like that. So one of the things that I had to learn by going through counseling and stuff, that I had to achieve things on my own and stuff like that, and that helped me like build my confidence and stuff like that. It's like every task that or every goal that I had in mind, once I completed it, it just like build on top of each other, and just build my confidence up even more. So I definitely feel what you're saying
Yeah,
there.
listen, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's small things. It's small
Hmm.
things like that that make a massive difference
Right.
in your life.
So how long have you been doing this?
Oh, okay. So let's talk about real life real quick. So I actually started the journey to actually following this calling in 2020. So,
Okay.
we was just talking about how the pandemic, killed a lot of things, but it also birthed a lot of things.
Right.
And that was something that came out of the pandemic for me. And I actually took a course and learned how to create a coaching course. So, I wanted to be educated in that space. And, I got a couple of certifications, and I actually attempted a program a couple of years ago, right? But there were some elements that were missing,
Hmm.
and it's fine because I didn't consider it a failure. It was just feedback
Right.
on what I needed to do differently. So I went back to the drawing board. I even considered quitting, and it ain't real if you don't consider quitting. It don't
Right.
matter what it
Yeah.
is, right? If you don't consider quitting, you not all in.
Yeah.
So I considered that, but when there's a calling on your life, it nags at you, and your gift will make room for you whether you want the space or not.
Dang.
So it just kept tugging at me, and I kept chugging along. So I actually, went through some other coaching because I believe that in any area that you want to be successful in your life, you should have a coach in that area.
Right.
So me trying to make a transition in my business and really let this thing take off, I had to invest in myself and get some coaching. And this year it was just like, you know what? Do it scared, do it incomplete, but just do that shit.
Right.
And so I just did it. And it's been an amazing feeling. It's so fulfilling.
Yeah, and like we talked about before we started recording, I mentioned to you how I've seen, a lot of the progress that you've been making. So tell everybody about your business.
So my business is actually called Soul Strategies, and basically that's what we do. We are coaching women to learn strategies that are sustainable, that are translatable through every area of their life. And we want them to be able to utilize those skills so that they can design a life that is abundant and fulfilling and balanced and all of those good things and in alignment with what their vision is. And then we help them get clear on their vision, because if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. So we help them get clear on their vision so that they can actually know what they need to raise their vibration to meet. So that is the coaching side of it. And then the advocacy side of it is really a growing process. But the goal is to be able to impact the community and just bring awareness to mental health, but not from the space of illness anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to come from the space of mental wellness,
Right, right,
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the direction that I want to go with the advocacy part of it.
Okay. So you said that you took the courses and stuff for coaching and all of that. So what? Because this is a question that I get asked a lot. Like, people always ask me. So I've done speaking engagements. I talk about it a lot on my podcast. I have my blog and stuff, and I consider myself a mental health advocate. So why haven't I become a psychologist or a psychiatrist? So I'm gonna ask that question for you. What made you choose coaching instead of becoming a therapist? Because I have my answer, but I want to hear what your answer is.
First of all, school, okay? I am not, listen, I already got enough debt from student
Okay.
loans as it is. I was not doing that again. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, it took me going through my mental health challenges to get to the space of finding my purpose.
Right, right.
And it's like the pain is the way. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Even though in the midst of the pain it don't feel like it, but that pain is preparing you for your divine assignment.
Yeah.
And I, at the time when I was going to go to school, I was in the throes of mental challenges, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So the thought of trying to help somebody was that was out of the question, okay?
Yeah, because I was saying to myself when people ask me that question, like, okay, I thought about it, but I'm not trying to go back to school, and I'm not trying to do all that damn writing, and I feel like for me, not totally throwing it out the window, like who knows what will happen in the next couple of years. I may decide I want to go back to school to be a psychologist. But at the same time, I feel like right now I'm still trying to find my way. I'm still trying to find my voice and stuff like that. And I kind of feel like if I'm just focusing on doing what everybody think that I should do as opposed to actually going through a journey and going through whatever path is laid out for me right now, then I won't truly have fulfillment if that is the end goal or the end game of, what I'm supposed to be doing. So, because people always be trying to be like, yeah, maybe you should be a therapist or something like that. I'm just be thinking to myself, I'm not trying to be boxed in right now. I just want to do me and just figure it out. Because, like, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm actually just doing me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful feeling. And you said something that brought me back around to a micro action, like a
Mm-hmm.
micro redirection. And that is everybody telling you what you should do.
Right.
The word should is a clear indication that you have taken on someone else's beliefs.
Right. Right.
So that's something that you know, and cheers to you for being aware of that. You know what I mean? Because awareness is the foundation of everything. If you know
Exactly.
what you fighting, you can beat that shit up.
Yeah. Yeah, because like just I talk about it all the time on the podcast. Like me growing up and stuff like that, I've always seemed to be encountering situations where people always telling me what I should do. and that was basically like the foundation of my life or whatever, dealing with like um my mother was the primary disciplinary and caregiver and stuff, even though my parents, are still married and living together, but she played more of the role of guidance and taking care of me and stuff like that. But she was always too overbearing, and I got caught up into that being my foundation of listening to what everybody else think I should do as opposed to doing what I actually want to do. So it was always that kind of tug of war with me and my mother and stuff like that. And I seem to have, in the past, I like carried that into my other relationships and stuff with people and stuff. So yeah, that's interesting, the alignment aspect of everything, because I talk about it all the time, and I say that all the time. I talk about it all the time that you can get so caught up into people projecting on you that you living their lives and you're
Yeah,
not living your life. So
absolutely.
yeah. So just I always say that I this is not a mental health podcast because I talk about everything, but mental health is a big part of the podcast. So you mentioned your mental health struggles and stuff like that. So talk about that for a little bit.
Well, this is actually right on time because Mental Health Awareness Month is tomorrow.
Yes.
So this is actually right on time. So, whew, my mental health journey, honey. Okay. So it actually started when I was in college. I was probably like 19, maybe. And I was struggling, okay?
I
I was
feel you.
struggling. I was getting a pretty challenging degree. I was getting an engineering degree. Shout out to the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. You know how we got to throw that in there. But I was getting a biological engineering degree, and it was a challenge. You know what I'm saying? And right before that, I had kind of had, I guess, a traumatic situation happened with my family, and I was kind of uprooted suddenly and had to live with other family members. So I was adjusting to that my last year in high school. So it was just a lot going on. And I ended up having a mental break in college. And my aunt who I was living with was like, "You either gotta go to therapy, or you gotta come to a school closer to home." And that was my introduction to therapy because who's going to leave A&T? Okay, not me. I wasn't about to leave, so I had to get my life. And I went to therapy, and my very first therapist literally saved my life.
That's what's up.
She saved my life. And from there, it was still a challenge.
Hmm.
It was still a challenge up until, shit, I was hospitalized maybe 4 years ago now,
Hmm.
probably 4 years ago now. And that was kind of my breaking point. That was kind of like my choice point, so to
Okay.
speak, where it was like, Kim, are you going to let this take you out, or are you going to figure out how to manage it? Because it ain't going nowhere.
Right.
And it is bipolar 2, right?
Okay.
And so there's a difference between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. Mine is more on the depressive side, and hypomania as opposed to like mania, which is like a very high high.
Okay.
So it was taking me out, and I had to make a decision of what I was going to do. And that was when, I really started to pay attention to myself
Right.
because I knew that there was things that I could do to help myself, and I wasn't doing it. And it started off with me needing to make some more money. I'm gonna just be real, and I mean, I think that can be a challenge for a lot of people who are having mental health struggles. Is
Yeah.
money.
Right.
Money is a big
Hmm.
part of it, right? And so I started to, and it was hard too. You know what I'm saying? I had to have people shake me up and like, look, you need to do this. You need to finish. And so I got started making money. But then outside of that, I've started to realize that I have to be sovereign in myself, right? I need to get to a space where my external world doesn't shake my internal world so
Yeah,
much that it puts me in the bed for a week.
I feel you. Hmm.
And I started really practicing that and being intentional about changing my thoughts and questioning my thoughts and observing my life, becoming the observer of my life and reflecting on my decisions and taking responsibility for my part in my own suffering.
Right.
And I had to make some changes. And a part of that change was fighting my purpose. And when I stepped into that, I found a little bit of freedom, a little bit of space. You know what I'm saying? A little breathing
Yeah.
room.
Hmm.
And then I started to realize my baseline. And then I started to pay attention to things that I was doing that kept me on my baseline. And I started to do more of that. And then when I fell off my baseline, I started to give myself grace. And I started not to fight the feeling that I had, but let it come and let it go, because it always comes, but it always goes, you know?
Yeah.
So I really had to raise my awareness and be intentional about my wellness.
Yeah. That's everything you said was on point. And one of the things that I say a lot on this podcast is that a lot of people just aren't self-aware to the things that's going on. We look at, all the things outside in the world and stuff, and we see a lot of things that shouldn't be normal as normal, and we just go with that, and we just moving along and not really taking care of ourselves. Hey,
Oh yeah, 95% of people think they are self-aware,
right.
but only 10 to 15% really are.
Hmm.
And those 10 to 15%, in my opinion, are the unoffendables.
What's that?
People who are very challenging to offend, because there's nothing that you can tell me about myself that I don't already know. And if you
Yeah.
tell me something, I'm not offended, because I'm going to look at the source. Is this constructive criticism? Is this somebody whose life I'm willing to switch with or not? And if it's not, then it really doesn't apply, and I'm just going to let it fly. And that's comes with really knowing yourself and having people around you who are going to check you.
Right.
Because my family is, they gonna let me know. You know what I'm saying? They gonna let me know if I'm doing too much, or if I'm not doing enough, or if I'm being mean or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They gonna let me
Yeah.
know. And
Hmm.
I have to take that, and then I have to make a change.
Right. So when you first got your diagnosis, how did that make you feel?
Crazy.
Hmm. I understand.
Crazy.
Hmm.
Okay. I felt kind of crazy. It was
Right.
kind of like, but also relieved, because it's like, well, shit, this is what the problem been all
Right.
this time. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
This
Yeah.
is what the issue is. Okay. Boom. But then it was like just sh- I don't want to call it shame as much as it was just rebellion against it. Like
I understand that. Yeah.
I could fit, I could do this. I could figure
Hmm.
this out. I don't want to take no medicine. I ain't really trying to do that.
Yeah.
Like, nah. But the rebellion around it, I think, was what delayed my ability to start my awareness.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I felt crazy.
I definitely understand. Um, I definitely understand about the shame and fighting back against it and stuff like that. Cause this is one thing that I've never talked about on the podcast before. So I think it's a perfect opening for me to talk about it. So I was diagnosed. This is something I have talked about. So I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and from uh going through when I first started going through therapy, what we identified was that this started happening when I was in high school. When I first started high school, and how my family moved from one neighborhood to a new neighborhood, and I was kind of like in a space where I was truly on my own, where I didn't have no friends or whatever. So I was in my family unit, but the family unit was non-existent. So I didn't have my friends there. So then everything started to like compound on me or whatever. So in the midst of going to therapy and stuff like that, I think because I started out with a older white gentleman, so that was interesting to have that dynamic of them not truly understanding what a black man feels or whatever. So my second therapist was a black woman, and that's when things started to click more, and I had to understand a lot of things about myself. But in the midst of that, doing the therapy, she suggested that I should get on medication. And this is something I never talked about before on the podcast. The moment when I actually started getting on medication, and when I started seeing a psychiatrist at that point, and going through the process of talking to them and all that other stuff, and them coming up with their diagnosis and what I should be taking and for what and all that other stuff. So at that point, when I was talking to the psychiatrist, they suggested that I get on medication for anxiety because I had like what I suffer from general anxiety, and I also suffer from social anxiety.
You don't suffer. It's just something that you
True.
have. It's just
And
something
that's
that you deal with.
yeah, and that's something that my therapist, she will always say, don't own the stuff that, don't own it.
Yeah. If you say you suffering, you suffering.
Exactly, yeah. So, word choice, people. So, dealing with the anxiety, so that's when I got on medication. So I was on medication for like a good year and some change or whatever, and going through the process of going through the appointments and stuff like that, and talking and all that other stuff. And one thing that I did find out in the midst of me going through therapy as well as being on the medication, that the medication allowed me to actually progress. And that's something that I didn't want to accept at first when, the medication aspect of it was introduced to me, but it actually worked. And it got to the point where, going through the appointments and all that other stuff, where the psychiatrist, said that, I can take a break from the medication, and we'll see where we go from that. So it was a year and some change that I was on the medication, and I haven't been on it since. So yeah, it's interesting because I always felt like ashamed or embarrassed about talking about taking medication. But yeah.
Well, how you feel now that you off of it?
I feel good because being on the medication, it allowed me to understand myself more. It allowed me to understand my habits and stuff like that, and the things that I need to work on, and actually work on those things, and to understand the processes and stuff like that. So I'm more in a space where, like you said, the external world doesn't affect my internal. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's tight. That's exactly pretty much what medicine is designed to do. And I am not a mental health professional, okay? I ain't got no degrees.
Right.
I don't want no degrees. I'm just a professional at managing my mental health, okay?
Right.
Takes 10,000 hours to be a professional. I would consider myself a professional at this point, whether I want to be or not, all right? But the medication is not designed to fix you. Not
Right.
to say that you're broken or anything like that, but I'm doing air quotes for those who can't see me. But it's designed to make you stable enough to engage in the things that make you feel good.
Right.
It's supposed to clean your mind up so that you can actually do those things, right? And so, see, I am still kind of wrapping my mind around the fact that I may never be able to stop taking medicine
Uh-huh.
because I have a mood disorder,
Right.
right? Which is a little different from just generalized anxiety or generalized depression. So my chemicals in my brain are, or can be, a little throwed off.
Uh-huh.
So I may need to be on medication for the rest of my life. And I take 3.
Okay.
So that might just be a part of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but it's okay either way. That's what people got to get to. It's like I could potentially try to stop, you know what I'm saying? Because I have quite a few good things, happening externally and internally in my
Right.
life. So, I could try to stop, but it's like I don't even want to play with it. You know what I'm saying? I don't even
Yeah.
want to play with the
Yeah.
progress
Uh-huh.
because it can throw me off,
Yeah.
throw me all the way off. So people need to know that you good either way.
Yeah.
Either way is fine.
So you talked about, the medication, not taking the medication throwing you off. So based off of like your diagnosis, and then when you started sharing it with people, how did that throw people off?
It didn't throw anybody off.
Okay.
It actually made people feel comfortable to talk to me, first of all, and then not have any shame around talking to their potential support system, you know, because there is something about living in your truth that gives other people the audacity to do the same.
Right.
And that was kind of what happened. It
Yeah.
wasn't like oh my God, I can't believe she's telling everybody this. It's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're saying this because, like, this is some stuff that I be going through
Right.
that I didn't think anybody would overstand. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think anybody would get this. And I think it kind of liberated people. And I'm an open book. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes to a fault. Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not
Right.
ashamed of it. So if you ask, and I'm pretty honest and I'm pretty straightforward. So if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you the answer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just I like to put it in a way that I'm not a victim.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm saying? I'm the victor of my situation. I have bipolar. I am not bipolar.
Right.
You know?
And that's one of the things that you said was key about, you just being comfortable with yourself and comfortable with everything that's going on with you, that, what others think about you is not going to shake you. And that's one of the things that, like, I still wrestle with, honestly, that
Mm.
that aspect of it, because when I get people hitting me up and stuff about my blog and stuff like that, it kind of makes me uncomfortable because I feel like I'm carrying other people's weight on my shoulders,
Mhm.
to, even though it encourages me, but at the same time it burdens me to feel like I gotta keep going and keep speaking about what I've gone through, what I continue to go through, and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually understand that too. I definitely feel that because it's crazy you say that. That's circling back to being an alignment coach. My initial coaching was focused on mental health coaching for real,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that was
Hmm.
kind of where I started, and I got a new mentor. Shout out to my boo Ronnie Brown, okay? And I entered her brand rehab program, and this she kind of challenged me. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? She challenged me, and I don't want anyone to take offense to this statement. You know what I'm saying? But it was a statement that shook me. You
Right.
know what I mean? I had to go back and really evaluate, what am I attached to? You know what I'm saying? And she was like, what you're attempting to coach on is trauma. And
Yeah.
that's like
Mhm.
trauma bonding. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that is not a flourishing thing. That's not something that people are attracted to. Like the people who need the services are the ones who are ashamed to talk about it. The
Right.
ones that's not willing to say I need the services. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when she said that, I'm talking about I cried. You know what I'm saying? I cried because it's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Am I abandoning my community or whatever? But then I had to realize like I had kind of wrapped my identity around being a mental health advocate.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not on the side of the illness anymore. I am working continually to stay on the side of wellness. And she suggested I become a happiness coach. And I said, what? Okay. How fast? That don't even make sense. Like, am I even happy? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because of
Yeah.
my mental health, like that joint can fluctuate. Am I even happy? But I had to take it into consideration because success leaves clues, and she is very successful. And I had to pay attention to that. And I had to accept that and hell, give it a try because the other way wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? So I, I switched my messaging to one of wellness. And I still talk about mental health just from the space of wellness. And it has attracted people, women to me who are in alignment with the direction that I'm going in my own life.
Yeah. And just all the things you said is exactly like when I was saying when I first started the my solo podcast, everybody thought it was going to be just strictly about mental health and stuff like that. But I didn't want to get so boxed in and wrapped up into just attaching myself to mental health and suffering and the things that I've gone through and stuff like that. This was a this this podcast has been a big part of me building my confidence and understanding who I am as a person and being confident in my voice and not worrying about other people's opinions about me and stuff like that. So every every week is a challenge for me because I go through like you talk about the to-do list. I got a mental to-do list where I go through each and every week on how I'm going to promote the podcast, how I'm going to speak about it, if I'm going to record or not, and stuff like that. And that's all based on my confidence and like certain struggles or hurdles that I've gone through in my life or whatever. So every week is a challenge for me because I go through like you talk about the to-do list. I got a mental to-do list where I go through each and every week on how I'm going to promote the podcast, how I'm going to speak about it. If I'm
You writing your to do list is a physical manifestation of it getting done.
right,
And it registers in your brain differently. So don't think about it, write about it.
yeah, and
And
that
then you'll be about it.
not and you absolutely right because this ain't nothing that I've never heard before. Like this is something that my therapist would say all the time. You know, start writing stuff down, doing your homework and your journaling and all that other stuff. And it it's funny because I'm gonna read this tweet I came across, and it made me think about a previous conversation that you had on a live that you did with some other people. And this tweet says somebody today told me that clutter is procrastination that we can see. And it brought me back to when you were on a live with a couple of other guys. I forgot their names.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
you
top discussion. Shout
yeah,
out to those guys.
and you started talking about the people's environment, your environment, and how your external environment, represents or um, is a sign of your internal environment and stuff, and the cluttered mind, and your cluttered surroundings and stuff like that. And it made me think about like certain things that, um, I do and don't do. And part of my procrastination is my writing and my journaling and stuff like that, and certain other things that deal with my external life, but I know is really going on with me internally. So talk about that a little bit.
So, oh wow. Alignment. Okay, let me just say that this is alignment because this is actually a conversation that I've been kind of having with my clients. So, um, the first thing is my question to you is how do you feel when you're writing in your journal? Like are you satisfied with that?
Am I satisfied with? I think I think what I struggle with is that I know I'm going to write something that's going to be truthful that I'm not ready to face, or I'm afraid to face. I'm afraid to face.
Okay. So first you need to address why you're afraid to face that.
Right.
But then maybe it's not procrastination. Maybe you perform better under pressure. Maybe you're just a pressure performer.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
when your internal world gets to be too much, that's when you ready to get it out.
Well, that's
Because I don't write as much as I should,
hmm
per se. More air quotes, guys. I don't write as much as I should, but when I do, it's impactful.
right.
And I can't beat myself up for not doing it because what is that going to do but lower my vibration and take me out of alignment with the stuff that I need to get done to keep my life on an upward trend. So change your perspective. That's another little
Right.
micro action that has a massive effect on your alignment. And that is your ability to shift your paradigm around the things that are happening for you. Because nothing happens to you, everything happens for you.
Right.
So if you can even just shift that little paradigm, then you can start to raise your vibration and get some alignment in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely right. See how soul strategies do for you?
Okay, listen. Go to www.mysoulstrategies.com and check us out, okay?
There you
Because we
go.
gets it done.
So, talking about, dealing with mental health or mental illness, how whatever way you want to describe it. And you talked about your family and stuff like that, and how they embraced you. Talk about how, if you want to talk about it, how you dealt with it as being a parent.
Ooh, my mental health as a parent. Man, that's actually a huge thing in the forefront of my brain at all times because I know that my particular challenge is has a biological aspect to it, a genetic aspect to it.
Right.
So I feel that I need to be rather extra vigilant on paying attention to my son's emotional health, um, his ability to communicate his feelings, how I respond to his feelings, right? Because I don't want to perpetuate the idea of men not having a safe space to be emotional. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to start that.
Right.
So I have to pay attention to that. Um, it's a lot. I mean, it's literally probably my second biggest fear is that he has to deal with the emotional struggles that I have. So I just try to pay attention because I know that awareness is everything. And if I can see challenges coming, as a leader, anticipation is kind of like your most vicious weapon. You know what I mean? And if I can see these things coming, I can get him the help that he needs before he really know he even need the help. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I can start to course correct now what I didn't learn until I was 30.
Right, right,
So I just try to be, I don't try because people that try never do. Note that. But I just do my best to be as intentional as possible and model what I want him to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I could tell you all day, but kids do what you do. They don't care what
right.
you say, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, just for example, my son, he's amazing and he breathes when he is like upset or whatever. He will stop and he will start taking deep breaths because one, he's seen me do it,
Mhm.
and then two, I teach him to do it himself. You know what I'm saying? And that helps me in the moment when he's pissing me off to stay calm too.
Right.
And so we'll breathe together. And now it is a part of his lifestyle.
Mhm.
And that's really the first thing children need to learn, in my opinion. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree with you.
So I just try to model what I want him to be like, and that's another reason why the girl takes her medication, okay? Because I don't have time to be falling off track when I got a little boy that I'm helping, taking 50% part
Right,
in raising a man.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I've watched I paid attention to your journey and stuff like that because we've been followers of each other, Instagram friends for a while.
Yeah.
And
Long
just
time.
yeah, just the journey like cuz I planned to have you on the podcast like when I first started doing the solo, but like now that it's happened, I feel like it's all in alignment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's move away from this and let's start getting into some more different topics.
Uh-oh. Here we go. Hold on. Can I have some more to drink?
Of course.
Can I have some more? Because I feel like it's about to get juicy, guys. Maybe we gonna see. I'm ready either way.
Yeah, so I didn't plan to do a Blackety Black Woke segment since I had a guest. But after what happened this morning, I said, what the hell? So, getting back to my YouTube page, my last episode crossed the line. I got an alert this morning when I woke up and saw that particular episode was removed from YouTube. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, damn, I'm that controversial that I got episodes being taken off of YouTube. So when I opened up the alert, it was an email from YouTube talking about that I violated their community guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
And they said the guidelines that I violated were misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccine.
Mm.
And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell did I say on this podcast to make them remove my video? Because I always be talking shit about the vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I went back and listened to that portion of the episode, which was very uncomfortable for me because I never listened to my episodes.
I understand that. I hate listening
Yeah,
back to
I don't like
myself
hearing myself
talking.
speak. So I went back and listened to it, and I was still confused. I'm trying to figure out like why did they remove my video? So there's an appeal process. So after going through and listening to that portion of my episode, the only thing that I spoke on that had to do with COVID-19 was I played a clip of Barack Obama speaking about the pandemic and the vaccine and COVID-19 and stuff. And what he said was that the um the vaccine was a I should have had this ready. I don't know. I don't know why I had this
It's
ready.
all good. It's all good. You giving me time to think, okay? of
Let me
how
see
I
if I
can
can
eloquently
actually.
put my perspective out on this.
Let me see if I can actually pull it up. The actual portion. Uh, all right. Let me see. All right. Cross the line. All right. Let me pull this up. Let me see. All right. Let me cue it first. That they come from. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can find the exact point where I was talking about this. From Biden. Granted that I ain't gonna lie, he was
5 Americans is still willing.
okay. Here we
And
go,
yet,
right
despite
here.
the
So this was the last episode that I recorded. Cross the line. So I'm gonna play the clip that Obama was speaking. So hold on.
So you named the episode "Cross the Line."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I'm just following you here. All right.
So let me play the portion of Barack Obama.
fact that we've now essentially clinically tested the vaccine on billions of people worldwide. Around 1 in 5 Americans is still willing to put themselves at risk and put their families at risk rather than get vaccinated. People are dying because of misinformation.
I am that 1 in 5 person that is putting my family and friends at risk, despite the fact that I go to the gym every day. I meditate every day, getting that deep breath, them deep breaths in my lungs. I'm getting that sunlight, that vitamin D. I'm eating right. I'm taking care of myself, cardiovascular, muscle, whatever they want to call it, in good health. Never caught COVID in the 2 years that we've been locked down and all this other stuff. I'm putting my family and my friends at risk. But that's not what you missed in his clip. I'm going to play it again, and then I'm going to stop it right after he says what's very interesting. Let me go back.
And yet, despite the fact that we've now essentially clinically tested.
Did you hear? Did you hear what y'all beloveds?
Y'all, I've been holding in laughs this entire
So that's the only thing that I can think of. But then when I hit the appeal button and I had to write an explanation on why I am appealing this. So I basically say all I did was play a clip. If anything, all I did was repeat what President Obama said. I didn't say nothing against the vaccine or COVID-19 or anything. All I did was speak on my personal routine and health regimen, and I played a clip. So we'll see how it goes, but I thought that was interesting that somebody actually reported the video and it was removed. So
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. So, yeah, you gotta take a sip off that one. I mean, the man said what he said, okay, and they've been saying that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we knew this was a clinical trial, okay? Like,
exactly,
we knew this was a clinical trial, and I actually have. So I was thankfully able to get a exemption
right
from my job. So I'm very grateful for that. But it's my exemption spoke to the fact that this is a clinical trial, and we have free choice to participate in a clinical
Exactly.
trial or not, and just the fact that there are lawsuits happening for people to get revenge for being fired. Now it's not even in effect anymore. Listen, people see what they want to see. You know what I'm saying? And there's a reason that they removed it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
all of this stuff is programming. It's just a program. It is the actual matrix. You know what I'm saying? And people, groupthink is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? And programming and brainwashing is a real thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And scarcity, if you can invoke fear in somebody, you can control them.
Right.
If you can put them in fear and put them in isolation, you make an animal. You make a robot, either an animal or a robot. And unfortunately, we're living in the world with quite a bit of robots. But I am, working on being a glass half full ass mother. Okay. So I believe that there are a lot of people who are not robots. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if we can continue to raise our collective vibration, we can make a shift in this group think thing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And but I ain't got nothing against nobody that did get the vaccine. Like,
And that's
listen,
what I say all the
that's the
time.
point. Like, that's the point of being in well, America ain't free. Let's start there. But I mean,
Right.
as free as it's going,
Right.
as free as we about to experience. You know what I'm saying? You can make your own decision, and you are entitled to that.
Exactly.
And if somebody has an opinion about that makes them offended, then they need to check their attachments.
Exactly.
Because I'm not attached to the fact that I don't have a vaccine. I'm not attached to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not attached to that. I don't give a I don't care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't right for me.
Exactly. And that's all I try to tell people, because like last episode I talked about, like, even though I haven't taken the vaccine, like you said, I have an exemption from my job and stuff like that. It's still, even though it's not totally directly affecting me, it still affects me in some way because I have family and friends who have taken the vaccine. So all the stuff that's being talked about adverse effects and stuff like that, it's going to affect me too if it actually, touches someone or affects someone in some type of physical or mental way with any family or friend that I'm associated with. So it affects me either way. So it's not about talking bad about it or anything like that. It's about just making choices that you want to make and not based off of fear.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these past 2 years have been a very
Disaster. Okay?
real.
A natural disaster. And it ain't even natural, but we ain't even going to go into that.
Exactly.
Okay? Let me stop because I'm very controversial.
Yeah. But another part that I wanted to bring up for this segment was the fact that Biden went to Congress and asked for $33 billion to give to the Ukrainian government. How you feel about that?
I don't watch the news. Let's start there. I don't watch that. I don't really subscribe to that. My news is Instagram, right? And then because the news ain't nothing but negativity, right? And I ain't got time for that. And what do people expect? Okay. When has the government ever done anything for anybody of the melanated hue?
Exactly.
So, like, why are we surprised here? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we surprised? That's not a shock.
Yeah.
But I'm not offended because, listen, I don't want to deal with the government anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be self-sustained.
Yep.
So, listen, they have continuously proven that they are gonna do what they gonna do, and I'm gonna leave it at that. And we as a people, you already know this. Right? I ain't gonna get too deep because it's too much.
Yeah,
for
it
people.
is too
But
much. It could be shocking.
yeah, very shocking. And it's like, we need to be citizens.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it at that. And I am a citizen. So, yeah, I don't really read into it too much. You know what I'm saying? I don't really read into it too much because that's pretty much what it's been.
Yeah.
And the goal is to work so that you are unaffected no matter which way they decide to make a decision. To get financially sustainable, freaking be able to feed yourself, be able to, take care of yourself if and or when them people decide to change their mind.
Right.
When they decide to tell you that they gonna sweep your student loans out of the bag, they're gonna wipe that up, and then they change their mind and give it all to Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter that, we got homeless people out here, and they're giving money, millions and billions of dollars, to other people.
Yep. We talk about the food shortages, the gas prices, and all that other stuff, but
it's gonna get worse.
They can pull money out of their ass some kind of way.
Yeah, because all they doing is printing it.
Yeah, basically.
It ain't even real.
So, getting away from the Blackety Black Woke segment. When I initially sent you the outline for the show, I put in a portion about the Kanye documentary, the Docu-Series.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll move along to the movie TV portion of the podcast. So how did you feel about the Kanye docu-series?
He a genius. And I know that because people with brains like ours, they work differently. And you could tell from his art, all of that. He's a genius. And he not stupid, right? I ain't gonna rehash some of the stuff that he said, but he ain't stupid. You know what I mean? And it just showed that there are factors that go into mental illness, mental dis-ease.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his mom was a big factor, a big trigger that, really changed his neural pathways in his brain.
The
Yeah, I think that changed his brain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And people don't, I ain't gonna say people don't, because I don't know who do or don't, right? But your brain matters. Your brain health is mental health. Right? And so his brain changed more than likely, because I ain't no doctor, but just from my own experience, your brain changes with trauma.
Right.
And that was a good example of how it changed. That's how you see how it changed. You know what I'm saying? But I already knew what he was going through because I would say I don't know his diagnosis personally, right? But just from his behavior, it's more characteristic of bipolar 1.
Okay.
So the very high highs, you know what I'm saying? Him when he was in TMZ studio and standing up and fussing everybody out at TMZ and all of that. It's kind of like a grandiose feeling.
Okay.
Right. And so I don't really get to that point. Right. Mine is more like impulsiveness and stuff like that. That's as high as I go. But I can imagine that trigger and changing, because I've been at that change, that change. Mm-hmm. It was a trigger in my life that kicked that off, that started the chain reaction of chemicals going wherever they felt like they needed to go instead of where they really needed to go. And it was kind of hard to watch at times, because, like I said, I've been there, and seeing him be isolated and change the way he talks, and, just him talking fast and talking all like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, those are small signs of mental illness, of bipolar specifically, that if you're not living with somebody with that, you might not know. You know what I'm saying? But like when you go to an intake for therapy, one of the questions is, have you been talking fast? Have you had rapid speech?
Right.
because that's an indication of hypo to mania.
Right.
So seeing that is like, ugh, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And in the environmental side of it, his mom passed. We don't know what it's like living with a Kardashian, okay? We have no
Yeah.
idea.
Him being a celebrity, living in that world and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then mental illness on top of that. Like, it's
Yeah.
just.
Because I kind of felt like his mom was his anchor. And I felt like, like you said, when she passed, that was very traumatic for him. And he didn't have that anchor no more. And not really knowing how him and Kim's relationship was, but she doesn't seem like the same type of anchor that his mom was, right? So
No.
yeah,
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna play
Absolutely
this.
not.
I'm gonna play this clip and let me know what you think about it.
Okay.
It comes from the documentary, the docu-series. So
I was thinking about something I was going to say to you, Kanye, that I thought was important. How you were down to earth and everything, but you got a lot of confidence. You come off a little arrogant, even though you're humble and everything. But it'd be important to remember that the giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing. You know what I mean?
So do you think I come off too arrogant?
No. Come on, just right. It's because it's what's inside. Because you can't be a star and not be a star. You gotta have some oomph about you. You don't want to just go saying, "Oh, I'm just really not all that," but thank you anyway. Nothing like that. I'm not saying come up like that. I think the way you handle yourself is really just perfect. But at the same time, if you remember, like, to stay on the ground. And you can be in the air all at the same time. That's what I would think it means when it says the giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing. Everybody else sees the giant. You know what I mean?
Right.
Listen. Listen. Miss Donda knew what she was talking about, okay? Miss Donda ain't tell no lies, not that whole time, okay? Not that whole time, okay? Because, first of all, you got to stay on the ground, right? You got to stay on the ground because if you live by their applause, you will die by their boos, right? So you have to stay on the ground and stay neutral to whether people receive you or not because you on a mission, right? That don't have nothing to do with other people. And then humble, I don't agree with that word. It's not a word that I subscribe to. It means to think lower of yourself, right? And
Sure.
I am not humble. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I don't have to dim my light for other people to shine.
right,
You know what I'm saying? A light gonna be bright if it's bright.
right,
And I don't have to dim mine. I don't have to try to overshine anybody
right,
because my light is going to attract what it's supposed to. And mother knows. Mother knows. Mother knows her child, okay? Mothers just know. They just know. And she probably knows that she needed, rest her soul, speak life into him.
I like how she just allowed Kanye to be Kanye. Because, like, I feel like in that clip, in that moment, even though she was giving him advice, teaching him and stuff, he had a moment where he felt a little insecure. And she reassured him. She affirmed him to just keep being you, It doesn't matter if people think that you come off as arrogant or whatever. A star has to act like a star. So,
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
So I thought that was a beautiful moment. I was like, when I saw that clip, I was just like, damn, that was a beautiful moment right there.
Yeah.
So did like anything else in that docu-series resonate with you personally, or just the fact like us talking about Donda and Kanye with you and your son?
Yeah. Yep. Because I am very intentional about speaking life into him, but also him knowing that if don't nobody else speak life into you, you need to speak life into yourself. So he will say things like, "Mommy, do you like my picture that I drew?" You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I like it, but do you like it?
Right, right.
Because it doesn't matter if anybody else likes it, me included. Do you like it?
Right.
You know, so I'm working to build his confidence in himself, his own intuition, to know his own inner knowing that I am all that I am. And if you can't see that, that doesn't make it not there anymore.
Right.
You just need glasses. You know what I'm saying? So I want him to grow up knowing that. And I think that was what her goal was to empower him to empower himself.
Right. How do you like just seeing like the docu-series and just even before the docu-series seeing Kanye's life and stuff like that? How do you feel about like how people perceive him or even how you perceive him? Like how do you look at him? Like because it's crazy like just thinking about because I started looking at the docu-series again in anticipation for recording, and I was thinking to myself, Kanye been quiet for a minute. I ain't heard nothing from him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's weird that this is happening right now, that he's been so quiet. And not to say that I'm concerned or anything, but I'm just like, why now is he quiet? And just thinking about how like nobody's really talking about him being quiet, but they always talking about when he's quote unquote turning up or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Listen, if you set yourself on fire, people will come from miles away to watch you burn. Okay? And Kanye West, when he is acting out, more air quotes. Listen, I'm the
Right.
air quote queen out here. But he acting out, that's newsworthy. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
newsworthy. And Kanye being the genius that he is, it's not the same attraction. People are attracted to bullshit. Okay, drama.
Right.
People like drama. People like mess, and that's what sells. And if you're not giving that, then you're not giving what it's supposed to give. You know what I mean? So Kanye is. I hope that he's being quiet because he's taking care of himself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because maybe he's realizing that everybody don't need access to my highs or my lows,
True.
because everybody got an opinion, but everybody don't live the lifestyle that Kanye lives. And so maybe he's getting to a place where if I don't want to switch lives with you, I don't care what you got to say about what I got going on. I'm going to take care of me. You know what I mean? And he's going through a lot right now with the divorcing, and this lady got a whole nother man and all that. So he probably real emotionally distraught right now. He need to sit still. Sit still. But I always have been and always will be Team Kanye. Period. Okay? Period. When people talk about him and say stuff about him, it's like, listen, I've been there and I've done that, but you cannot deny that man's genius.
That's true.
You can't deny his genius. And if you do, you a hater.
I definitely have a more appreciation for Kanye after seeing this docu-series. And that's one of the things that I've always loved. Like, I'm not too much into celebrities' lives and stuff like that. But when you when those celebrities actually are vulnerable and start, sharing certain things, then I seem to gravitate more towards those type of artists. Like you see on my wall, Tupac, Bob Marley, Marvin Gaye, and stuff like that. Those, people that actually shared their lives to a certain degree, because it kind of like I kind of learned certain things from them, or resonated with them in a lot of ways. So Kanye is definitely one of those people. So I definitely have a more of appreciation for him for that, for this documentary.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, nah, seeing the way he made the beats and
Yeah.
all of that, because I used to play the saxophone, so I listen to music a little differently. You know what I'm saying? Now, like rap and stuff, like I'm either deep or I'm surface, right?
Right.
So it's either twerk time or I'm listening for instruments and I'm
Exactly.
listening
Yeah.
for substance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I hear music a little differently when I'm trying to hear
Yeah.
it differently. And yeah.
I was just watching the docu-series and I was just looking at like his drive and his belief in himself, and it when I was looking at it, I wasn't jealous or envious or nothing like that. I was just like wow, because that's something that I've struggled with and stuff, and just to see a person just absolutely have that belief in themselves and just tell people that came against them, all these people were saying, oh, you just a producer, or whatever. And he just kept telling them, I'm a rapper, I'm a rapper, I'm a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And he made it happen. And I was just like, damn.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just crazy to me.
Yeah.
So,
And you ain't, from my perspective, right? You ain't really struggling with it, because if you were, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now.
true.
You know what I'm saying? So you're working, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not struggling, you're doing it. You're stepping out and you're living in your truth.
True.
So give yourself more credit. You know what I'm saying? What you think is what is going to be. So if you think you struggling and all of
Yeah,
that, then
true.
you are. And if you
True.
think that this is what you are called to do and you are stepping into your higher self, then that's what you're doing.
True.
So that's what you're doing. Ain't no reason to be jealous or envious or stuff like that, because the way I look at things is if it's in your current experience, right? Even if it's somebody else around you, then that means it has the capacity to touch you too. So it's almost like God is on the block. You know what I mean? So if you seeing that and that's resonating with you, that means that it is already done for you.
Right.
And you just need to keep raising your vibration so that comes naturally to you.
Yep. Once again, Soul Strategies.
Book me, okay?
Moving along from the docu-series. So we finally going to get into this topic.
Oh,
That
Lord. Here we go.
So it was two articles that I referenced for this particular topic. So I'm going to start out by reading the first one.
Okay.
So this one starts off, it's titled, Stop Calling Women Females.
Let me move my mic back because I'm about to be laughing while he reading this, okay? So I'm going to move back.
Whenever I hear people use the word females when talking about a woman, I cringe. Not only is it grammatically incorrect to call an adult female human being a female, it is also a derogatory term and a modernized version of bitch. Women ask people to stop using derogatory terms like bitch, hoe, the C word, slut, thought, skank, etc., so they came up with females. The Oxford Dictionary defines female as the sex that can lay eggs or give birth to babies, while woman is defined as an adult female human being. In this context, it is used as an adjective, a descriptive word. Not only is the term female downright disrespectful, it also reduces women to their ability to have babies, which enables the exclusion of trans women. Calling women females erases their humanity. It reduces women to walking vaginas and sex objects, and that is just wrong. Many people use female as a descriptive term, for example, a female mechanic, a female pilot, a female engineer, etc. Many people are cool with this, but I find it weird because nobody says a male engineer. Female can also be used to describe the first woman to ever do something. For example, if I become the president of my country, I will be described as the first female president of my country. It is grammatically incorrect to use females as a noun. When you say something like these females are so annoying, are you talking about female dogs or cats? People who claim they don't use it in a derogatory word are liars. Usually when female is used as a noun, it is also used in a mean way. For example, these females aren't loyal, or you females make me sick. Respecting women costs nothing, so why not stick to calling women by their names or just calling them women instead of females? How you feel about that?
Oh my God. I'm over here laughing because, first of all, shout out to Miss Armstrong, because if I remember English class in 7th and 8th and 9th grade, it's not grammatically incorrect. It is maybe incomplete, but it's not incorrect, okay? Biologically, we are female, okay? Period. Now, I do see the perspective of, first of all, what's his name? Omar Gooden. He messed it up, right? When he was like, I ain't gonna call y'all unstable creatures. I'm gonna call y'all unstable creatures, right? Y'all, these females are unstable creatures, right? So that he started it all, right? He kicked this whole thing off with that,
right?
Again, you have to become unoffendable, and oh my God, there were so many things with that article, like the whole trans thing, and it's just a lot. You know what I mean? And I think that it is a small fish in a bigger pond of issues that we as human beings, men and women, males and females, have an issue. Like, this is a small issue. You know what I'm saying? Am I offended by it? No. But I do see where it is used in a
derogatory way,
context. Like, these females be da 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 da.
I definitely
you know
understand that part of it. Yeah.
But it's like, and you know what I'm saying? I've been called worse by better. Like, it ain't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? To me, anyway. It's not that big of a deal to me. But to have all of these other reasons as to why women need to not be called females is just pick something else to pick on.
Yeah, I always found it. I just find it crazy that people are so obsessed with pronouns and the labels and stuff. And like, I just feel like I would prefer to call you by your name, period, because that's who you are. That's more of your identity as opposed to a label and stuff like that. So it just always confused me.
Yeah, it's a generational thing, I think, and like a liberal thing, and it's very it's by design. You know what I'm saying? If you watch these children's shows, I mean, you don't got no children, but if you watch these children's shows, like, it's some wild stuff happening on these shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like, it's a damn show where it's a door that goes up a character's butt. It's the door. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
That is an exit only, like, type. You know what I'm saying?
Like, that's that imagery programming.
Exactly. So it's a whole nother generation, and everything is accessible, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody has a platform to put their opinion and their supposed artistry out there for consumption. Right. And it is it lends to a wild society, wild society, and people who, some people just like to hear themselves talk and like to pick at stuff, and I just don't understand it. I personally don't understand it, but some people ain't got nothing better to do than to figure out whether you mean, am I a female dog or am I a female woman? Like, what you mean? Like, boy, I don't care. I do not care. You know what I mean? Like, as long as, how do you treat me?
You're right.
How do you treat me? How do you care for me? Right? Like, I mean, words are vibrations. Words mean a lot. But ain't not, you could say stuff and not have the action behind it.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, some people just think they super woke and they want to say female and this and this and that. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure out, is that person somebody you want to deal with? I mean, if you offended by female, listen, be offended, right? And don't engage with no men that call you a female, because that is your sovereign right.
Pretty much.
As an individual. Yeah. But me personally, it's not a big deal.
Okay. So I'm going to go through the next article, but this article right here says 6 reasons you should stop referring to women as females right now. So it's 6 reasons. So I'm going to go through each reason. I'm going to go through one at a time, and then we'll see how you feel about it. So the first one says, because the words female and woman mean different things. Female is a scientific term that refers to the sex of a species that is capable of producing children. The term woman refers specifically to human beings, while female could refer to any species.
They're not different. One is just more specific than the other.
Okay.
They're not. There's no difference.
Okay.
Where a female is somebody who could have kids in a certain species. What is our species? Homo sapien, right? We a species. You know what I mean? It's just that a woman is just more specific. Like, we know, okay, we're not talking about a fish. We talking about a girl with a private part. You know what I'm saying? Crazy.
So, number 2, because reducing a woman to her reproductive abilities is dehumanizing and exclusionary. When you refer to a woman as a female, you're ignoring the fact that she is a female human. It reduces a woman to her reproductive parts and abilities. Also, not all women are biologically female, and the conflation of female to woman erases gender non-conforming people and members of the trans community. We ain't gotta go that deep, but just
okay.
It,
yeah, I got you. Nobody can reduce you to anything unless you allow them to reduce you to something, right? And so if you say female, I know I'm a woman. So why would I assume you're calling me anything other than a female human? You know what I mean? So, and as far as the exclusion goes, I mean, listen, okay? The exclusion of the trans community.
Number 3.
Thank you, because listen, because I ain't insensitive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a little cousin, and she is free as a bird, right? And I actually have trans family members, right?
Okay.
And I just recently seen him.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him by his, new name and all of that.
Right.
So I'm not disrespectful about it, but science is science.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And science is just science. You know what I'm saying? And a girl that went and got a BBL, she still don't got no ass. Because if you move that, it's gone. She still ain't got no ass.
Right.
So surgery changes the external, but it is what it is.
Right. Number 3, because nobody casually refers to men as males.
Well, that's not true, because what they call a nurse, that's a man, a male nurse.
Yeah, damn, I didn't even think about it. Yeah, you absolutely right. I didn't even think about that.
It's a male massage therapist. It's a male fucking manicurist.
You got me thinking about Meet the Fockers and stuff, Meet the Parents and stuff, because they was talking about
how yes,
he was a
Gaylord
male
was a
nurse.
male nurse. Okay, and did they not call him a male nurse?
Right.
Yes, there are
Exactly.
males. It's just that we are in America, and America is a patriarchal society, and so of course everything is geared to men. But the stuff that is geared to women, if a man do it, he's a male.
Right.
So it's just that we live. It's by default. We live in a patriarchal space. So
Right. Number 4, because it is most often used to imply inferiority or contempt. Not always, but often. And it's typically when female is used as a noun, i.e., females are the worst. Here's a fun exercise. Search the word females on Twitter and see what you get. We ain't even gonna go down that
Yeah.
road. But yeah.
Twitter's
Inferiority or contempt.
inferiority again. I roll back around to nobody can make you feel inferior. You have to accept inferiority. So that is something that personally you have to deal with. Now, contempt, that's the only part of it that I can maybe agree with. You know what I'm saying? Just because of Omar.
Right.
Because Omar let these females be tripping. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So,
yeah.
yeah, sometimes you can say that. But again, it's like, is that worth being offended by? You know what I mean? Like, and even if it is worth being offended by, why are you so attached to that particular label that you are offended?
That it
You
gets you
have
so
to
bent out of
choose.
shape.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get to choose what offends you. That's
Right.
why my goal is to become unoffendable, because it causes you to react instead of respond.
It takes you out of alignment.
Right, exactly. Period. And so this is not offensive to
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? It's not I have been called way worse. Okay.
Right.
Way worse.
So number 5, you already touched on this, but I'm gonna mention it anyway because it's grammatically weird.
It's not. It's not grammatically weird is something like ain't. That's
True.
grammatically weird.
Right.
Because ain't or not is not something you say, or am not, like that's not something you say.
Yeah.
Right? So ain't is a weird grammatical word.
Right.
What is it
Conversate.
called? Conversating.
Yeah.
Conversating is a weird grammatical
Right,
word,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Female is just a word.
yeah.
It's just that they don't like the context, but context doesn't have anything to do with grammar. And I
Right.
love English, okay? I love English, and I take that stuff very seriously. And that's not giving me grammatical errors. It's giving me maybe incomplete when you're using it as an adjective to describe something.
True.
But because it doesn't, like you say, anything can be a female. That's the
Yeah.
truth. That's science.
Right.
Science, you can't refute that. But it's just incomplete. It's not incorrect.
Right.
It's just incomplete.
Number 6, last but not least, and most importantly, because the word you're looking for already exists. That word is woman.
Listen.
They was kind of doubling back on their point.
Listen. If you got an issue with it and a man call you a female, then you just say, listen, I don't prefer that description of myself. I'm not going to take offense because I never told you that, and I can't expect you to know that.
Right.
But I'm just letting you know I don't like that term, and I would prefer you call me a woman. And that's it.
Simple as that. Just communicating.
Yeah,
Communication.
you ain't gotta be nasty about it. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't even know their come from.
Right.
So in the gap, just
Yeah.
believe the best, and
That's a good point.
lower your expectations of other people and raise your expectation of yourself.
couldn't have said it better myself. Soul Strategies.
Boom. Boom, baby.
So we got a little time left, so I'm gonna play this clip for you.
Okay.
I haven't shared it with you, of course, so
I
I'm
know.
gonna play it for you.
I'm getting used to that.
Here we go.
So many women go to work and voluntarily submit to a boss. I want to see who can answer here. Why do women submit to their boss? Why is it that you don't hear people rebelling against bosses and saying, that's it, no more submitting? Bosses should just give us money. Why is it that women are okay with submitting to a boss?
How you feel about that?
People should just stop talking. And I be on Instagram and looking at the shade room and all that stuff. Because Instagram for me is like business or entertainment.
Exactly.
And I just be like, yeah, people gotta stop talking, because what are we talking about now? Like, why do women submit to their boss the same reason men submit to their boss? Because that's the goddamn manager. And if you don't do what you're assigned to do,
Right.
you run the risk of being fired. I'm thinking that is incomplete, because she had to be comparing. Why do women submit to their boss and not their man?
Exactly. Yeah, that was the
She
context
had to be.
by it. Yeah.
She had to be, because it's like, girl, what are you talking about right now? Everybody kind of do what they boss, kind of
Right.
tell them to do. You know what I'm saying? But first of all, it got to be a man that's worth submitting to. Because I'm not going to let you lead me off a cliff. Okay? You can lead me, but not off a cliff. So there's that. But we ain't got no control over that. What we got control over is our discernment to know whether you are that man or not. And I think that, well, for me personally, right, I am very alpha, I guess. You know what I'm saying? As if you gotta use a title for it or a label. I run my business. I'm mom.
Right.
I'm on it all the time, right?
Uh-huh.
And I ain't even gonna say alpha, right? I operate from a masculine space in my life, right? That's masculine energy. Don't mean I'm manly.
Right.
I'm just doing the more aggressive things, right? The stuff that's like cutthroat, like, let's get it done. Like a man, man think like, let's solve the problem.
Right.
So I'm doing more of that in my regular life. So when I think about being with a partner, I don't want to do that at home. I don't want to. And it comes about me being comfortable in my femininity to be that. I think just submission is really just taking care of your partner. Not even taking care of, caring for your partner. Listening to them. Men submit just as much as women.
Right.
It's just different. And it's supposed to be. We're not the same. You know what I mean? So I have no issue with submission.
Okay.
I have no issue with it. And I think that it allows a certain level of balance, because there will be times when my partner, which I ain't got one right now, but there will be times when he will submit to me. You know what I'm saying? Because there may be an area of strength that's mine that might not be his area of expertise.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so submission doesn't mean surrender. God damn, they're not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Submission is just ebb and flow. It's working together. It's knowing when you need to fall back, when you need to step up, and being able to communicate through the process.
So why do you think some women have troubles, or why do you think this conversation is so pushed on social media about this submission stuff? Because you see it all the time on social media about women not submitting to men and stuff. Like, why do you think that it's women out here that feel the way that they do or have these struggles?
Well, the first thing women gonna say is because I never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets to a point where you got to make a decision. We're an adult now, okay? What we saw in our childhood cannot continue to impact the decisions in your behavior today. And then, listen, I love men, okay? Let's start there. I love men. I don't like to talk bad about men or women. But just in my experience, men I ain't gonna say all, right? Because what you seek is what you see, right?
Right.
So I believe that there is an abundance of amazing men out here in this world, right? I believe that wholeheartedly, because if you don't, you ain't gonna get one, okay? And these women continue with that perception of these men ain't nothing, that's what they gonna continue to see, right? So what you expect. But there are a lot of feminine men out here in this world, okay? Feminine men who, and I'm talking from experience, okay? Men that come to you and be like, baby, I don't want to work, but I want to help you do everything you need to do. Where they do that at? What they do? Are you saying that?
Not at all.
Exactly. Okay.
Not
right?
at all.
Exactly. So there's men out here talking like that. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And when you run into enough men saying stuff like that, then you can become cynical.
True.
But then that's where alignment comes into play. And it's like, if I'm cynical about it, then that's what I'm going to get. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm going to get. So I have to believe in love. I have to become love. I have to be love.
Right.
Love is an action. Love is a verb. Love is a noun. Love is everything.
All of it.
Love is
All of
everything. You know what I mean? So I have to believe that in order to achieve that, more air quotes,
Right.
in order to achieve that. And I think that people don't really know how to redirect their thoughts because you get so used to the same thing over and over again that you kind of lose hope that there's something else out there.
Right. Hey, we got through it.
We made it. Listen, he shocked me, okay? I ain't know half of these questions that was coming, right? But I loved it. I had a great time.
I had a great time as well.